Oh no, not.
Great.
Now you're gonna edit it.
All right. Yeah. Now I edit it. All right. Good. We good? Three,
But
two,
yes.
one. All right. Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Podcast. I go by Cleon Deal, of course, as all of you know who have been here before. And I'm here with the man, the myth, somewhat of a legend, Mr.
Somewhat of a
Somewhat.
legend.
We don't like to tell the stories anymore. That's the old him, but still, some things you can tell around a campfire. Mr. Brandon
Yeah.
Haley,
What
welcome,
up?
man.
What
We're
up? What
happy to
up?
have you. Happy to have you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
here hosting me in your house, man. um,
Thanks for having me on the show.
yeah, man. I'm just happy that we could do good things for
I'm
other people.
I'm very appreciative that you would invite me onto your show on a Friday, let alone
On a
of a
Friday
busy weekend.
of a busy weekend that's already been a busy week. I'm so glad we could do this today.
Thank you for planning this out.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have a very, very special guest today with us, Miss Arden Schiller. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having
Welcome.
me.
How are you doing today, Arden?
Good, good. I think I was the one that actually pitched the Friday night podcast.
So it was her idea.
I'll take
we were
credit.
just we were just what passive aggressively throwing shade right there.
At each
Nah,
Yeah.
I just
You started it.
I'm bad at that. I'm bad at that. I'm just kidding. No, no, no. We knew it had been a weekday with you. This is actually rescheduled from Women's Month is when we actually wanted to get Arden on
Sorry.
the show.
Yeah, so only 2 months late, so it's not that bad in
It's
podcast
only
time.
yeah, it's really not that bad. And women are late to everything, so
Literally.
literally she's gonna agree with it. But we did still want to have her on the show to share her expertise and a little bit of her story. We actually never met in person, but we had met online because we were in the same mentor group for online fitness coaching. And in that group, Arden was killing it, and um,
How are you doing in that group?
very mid.
All right, cool.
Well,
Sounds good.
obviously very mid. So when someone is doing really well, you gravitate to that person. You kind of try and get little tips and tricks, and then the really cool thing is that she started off as a teacher before she went into that, and then she kind of grew into her own business over the last 5-6 years. So it's just been a cool journey that I've just been watching
Wow.
on social media from the sidelines. So tell us a little bit about when you were teaching, why you were teaching, because that was my first goal until I realized, like, oh, this is a very terrible career if you want to actually make money and live a life. Unfortunately, like that was like my out of high school, that's what I wanted to do until I realized, like, oh, this is like you're yeah. I
Oh.
did all the paraprofessional test. I
Mhm.
did like teacher assisting for 3 years.
Mhm.
And I wanted to coach football. Like that was my goal. But then I realized, like, oh, that would be a lot of hours.
Yeah.
It would be kind of fulfilling,
Yeah.
but you're never going to get any money. So it's like, maybe let me find something where I can make money, set up my life,
Right.
and then maybe go back to that.
Mhm.
But just tell us a little bit about why you got into it, why you and how you got out of it, and then that transition from that fitness coaching and going into what you're doing now.
Amazing. Thank you. Um, yeah, I was a kindergarten teacher. So ever since I was probably in kindergarten, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was always the one that people gravitated to ask questions. I was really good at breaking things down, explaining things to people using very simple terms, and my family all teachers. So what was the only career that I
Mm.
knew? Teaching.
Right.
That's
Yeah, so it was a pretty much decided factor the day that I was 5 years old and went to elementary school, that that's what I wanted to do.
that's
So
actually really funny. I grew up
Hmm.
in a family of teachers as well.
Yeah.
And seeing
And we
that,
had his
and
mom on
yeah,
who was a
yeah.
teacher.
yeah, my mom teacher for 30 years. Now she's a media specialist. My uncle was actually won
Wow.
Maryland State Teacher of the Year And
Wow.
he's a part of the board of ed out there now. And so it's, yeah, so I relate to you, and I also decided not to do it.
I
So
was gonna say, when you have a family of teachers, you're either like, "Hell no," or "Hell yes."
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Being
my whole
rejected
family
everything.
my whole family were Penn Staters, so that was
Oh.
my hell no. Everyone goes to Penn State, so I'm not going, and that was stupid. Why did I do that? Like, I should have gone to Penn State. Whatever. Anyway, so I was like, hell no to Penn State, but hell yes to teaching. So
Mhm.
I went and I went to school about an hour and a half from Penn State and was there every weekend and became a teacher. And specifically elementary education. And I also got my minor in American Sign Language. So I'm fluent in sign language, which is kind of cool.
Oh wow.
And I thought I wanted to teach at like a deaf school, but I decided not to do that and just wanted regular classroom ed.
Mhm.
The grade that I didn't want was kindergarten, and that's what I got. So,
Funny, funny
lucky
how that works out.
me.
Yeah.
So I taught kindergarten, and while I was teaching kindergarten, I learned that I did not like teaching. I had done
Mhm.
student teaching, loved it. I was in a school kind of in like the middle of Pennsylvania. They call it Pennsyltucky because it's like very like central, like corn, like almost by Penn State. There's nothing.
Mhm.
And I loved teaching third there. But then I subbed and it was great for a year in like a second grade classroom. It was great. Loved it in like Pennsyltucky. And then I had my own classroom in inner city Philadelphia as a kindergarten teacher. And if you don't know inner city Philadelphia, I was the only white person in that classroom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it was a bunch of 4.5-year-olds that came from, unfortunately, extremely sad homes. I mean,
Yeah, we got a few elementary schools like that over here too
yeah, you
in
know.
Tampa. Yeah, yeah, I've
Yeah.
been to those.
And I would have
Mhm.
students 4.5 years old coming in saying, "Hey, all the cops were in my house all night. They were pointing guns at daddy and they took
Mhm.
him away." Right.
Oh wow.
So it was a really, really emotionally, physically hard place to be. And unfortunately, you would think it would be like really healing. It made me hate teaching. And I didn't have support from the school that I thought I would have. So during that time, I knew I didn't want to be a teacher anymore. And sad enough, even the parents weren't like supportive. It didn't feel good, right? Um, so I started applying for subbing positions in like better schools outside of inner city Philly, and I did get one in a fourth grade classroom, and that was going to be my goal for the school year of 2020. So this was 2019 to 2020 that I
Mhm.
was teaching. Um, and then in March of
Yep.
2020,
Everything shut down.
everything shut down. And so during that time, I guess this is where everything happens for a reason. Vibes come
Mhm.
in. Because I was teaching in inner city Philly, a lot of the students didn't have computers, laptops, Wi-Fi. So there was really like no online that we did, whereas a lot of other schools did like a lot of online learning, right?
Right.
So we had to like get funded, and I would have kids not show up because their parents couldn't, you know what I mean? So it was like I was kind of not teaching at all, right? So what did I do? Well, I started doing workouts in my house because I was already into fitness and I was posting. I actually made a fitness account with my significant other, and we were
Mhm.
posting and we were sharing like, here's how you can, do pull-ups with a broomstick and like use this
Yeah.
backpack while you're doing Bulgarian split squats. I mean, we were making
Mhm.
up the coolest things. And we were so cute and little and fun. And that kind of started building an audience of a lot of people on Instagram. My fiance now, at the time, he was in physical therapy school, and he was like, I don't want to do like online anymore, really. So I started that summer in July my own fitness account, but I made it specifically for teachers. And
Mhm.
this is where like the really big transition happened. So I
Mhm.
started building this really large Instagram community of teachers. Now, at this point, my fitness account, it had 10,000 followers, but it doesn't anymore because it's been like years since I've used it and people unfollowed me.
Right.
And accounts got deactivated, you know.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, so that is kind of where I started my fitness company. I built this really big audience on Instagram of teachers. And by October 2020, I launched and said, hey, I'm going to help fitness. I'm going to help teachers with fitness because at that point of time, we were all teaching from home. So we were all sitting
Mhm.
on Zoom teaching our students. And I had a fourth grade sub position at that time, and we were actually going into the classroom, but then just sitting at our desks and still teaching from Zoom.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
so it was really cool because I would do little things. I was like the only teacher in the school. Like there were some that came in, some that stayed home. I would always go in because I would record workouts in the
Mhm.
classroom. Since you would teach, and then I was in fourth grade, you would teach online, and then they would go to lunch or whatever, and then I would go record a workout in the classroom, and it was so much fun.
Mhm.
But what happened is in October 2020, while I was substitute teaching in actually a much better school district in fourth grade, um, I launched fitness coaching and I immediately started signing clients. I mean, it was like all of a sudden out of the woodworks, everybody's messaging me. I signed over 100 clients in about 4.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is really good.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
it
That's a
was
It's
a
a,
lot.
it's,
lot.
it's a
When
lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
it was a lot, and I
It's a
was
lot.
not ready
I've
for
never
it.
had 100 clients in my lifetime of when I was doing it. So 104.5 months
Yeah.
is a lot.
I have 85 business coaching clients right now that I've signed in about 8 months, and
Mhm.
it still feels like a lot. So I don't know how
Yeah.
I did it in 4.5 months, but
Hmm.
I did. And it was, I wasn't ready for it. I
Yeah.
wasn't.
Well, they always
And
say the riches are in the niches. So you niched it down to teachers who need to get fit
and it
during
was the
COVID
perfect timing because
or at home. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they were
It
at
was it was a
home,
good
they
time
were
for that.
sitting all day long.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and they were like, "Well, I used to lose weight because I was walking around my classroom all the time." And
Yeah,
right?
now you're doing nothing. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
so
was the perfect time for it.
so I blew up pretty quickly. And I'll talk about like all the issues that I had because that really affected my relationship.
Hmm.
Affected my friendships. It affected my career. I was then fired from my substitute position
Hmm.
in February
Oh
of
wow. Because they
2021.
found your page, or
Yeah, they found my page and
Oh,
they were like,
they didn't let you do fitness coaching and teach.
there was a zero tolerance for social media for that school that I was subbing
Oh
for. I
man,
didn't know.
that's like the almost the Romy
yeah, it's,
situation.
it's the exact
There was
same
another
thing.
there's another teacher who was a teacher in her first year. We tried to get her on the podcast, and she's not even allowed to be on the podcast.
Hmm.
I was like, I want you on the podcast just so we can talk
Well,
bad about
she
it.
wasn't not allowed to be on the podcast. She was shooting content in the
Oh, she was
room.
shooting content in the classroom, but not putting the kids in it. But it was
Yeah.
like making it like super cute
Yeah,
content.
super cute.
It was super enjoyable too. I was like, oh, that's so
And she
cute.
got did she get fired?
No,
No,
they was
she
like, you got to cut it off though.
got slapped on the
Oh,
wrist.
okay. So they fired me because,
Yeah,
and I
I was
didn't
like,
have any kids in the classroom. They were like, "Hey," it was like February 8th, and they were like, "Hey, I got an email at the end of the day. Still, school kids were not in school at that point yet, or
mm-hmm,
maybe they had just started. It was like the first week they were back, and I hadn't even posted anything in the classroom that week. I would do a lot of like at home, like easy recipes, and like you know what I mean, to take to school in the morning, whatever. Anyways, and they like messaged me and they're like, "Hey, we found your account. We saw that you have posted workouts in the classroom. We have a zero policy for social media. You cannot come back tomorrow, effective immediately."
Wow.
And I was like, "I can't even say
nice,
bye to the kids." Cool.
nice.
So
Um,
what class did they go to the next day? I
Oh,
guess
they just get like
they
a
got another substitute, I guess.
yeah, they
I
just
got
get
another sub.
Just
yeah,
act like it didn't happen. It's
yeah.
crazy.
See you.
Crazy. But they all found me on TikTok, which was funny. They would message, "Miss Schiller, we miss you."
Yeah, literally.
I'd be like, "I miss you
Man,
guys
the
too."
school system is so crazy. I mean, I'm grateful for it because I met so many great teachers and coaches through it, but that's why I could never be a part of it just because
Yeah, it
you
was
didn't get
really
paid.
upsetting. I mean, at that point, it was good that it happened. I
Hmm.
was hanging on and I knew I didn't want to be there.
Yeah. So you
I
went
cared
full
more
in.
about my clients, my fitness company. I was paying my little sister $20 a week to check in with half my clients. I like pretty much gave her like a roster of 60 clients and said, "Yeah, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, can you just message them and make sure they did their workouts?" And um yeah, and I was just on sales calls like all day long, like in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
after school, all day on the weekends.
Which is a good problem to have
It was, yeah.
if you have a
But
team.
I scaled. I didn't have systems.
Yeah, you didn't delegate anything
I
to
didn't know
other
how to do
people.
anything, and so that's kind of what made me a business coach because
Mm-hmm.
I scaled quickly and I never had the support of like, "Hey, this is gonna." I
But you
wanted. I
did have
really
a mentor and you didn't technically have a coach at the time because
no.
that's the group we met
Well,
in, technically.
yes, and then I was done with him right at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I know, right,
I was
right at
done
the
his
time.
program. I was done my
Hmm.
mentor's program in February, right when I actually probably needed his support
But you
most.
could still be in the group and ask questions. So you just left the group. You just left that mentor group.
We're
Oh,
gonna
there's a
skip the question.
story.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
We're gonna skip that.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
I ended up hiring another mentor. And
I think I remember the old conversation that we had. I think I remember. Yeah.
there was
Okay.
nothing bad at all. I just knew that I needed someone who was a little bit more close proximity.
Who was a little bit more feminine?
Yeah,
We'll
cool.
just say that.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
Yeah.
No, a little bit more like someone who actually could look at my business and tell me, "Hey, Arden, these are the things that are gonna happen, so you need to
Mm-hmm.
implement these processes and these systems,"
Right.
right? I unfortunately, with that mentor, he had so many students,
A lot. Yeah. Yeah.
he wasn't able to look at my company and say, "Hey, before this crumbles, put this in place," or
Mm-hmm.
before like, he wasn't on top of my company,
Yeah. His
like,
thing was 10,000 and you're good. Like give
yeah,
it to
and I was at
10,000 a month.
yeah, and I was at 20K months by that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'm 0 to 20K in 4 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I needed help with the client journey. I needed help with what was happening is I was signing people up
And they weren't staying. Yeah.
and they were leaving, they were asking for refunds.
Mm-hmm.
I was really good at sales.
Right.
But
But not the
they
client
didn't like
retention
it.
part.
Not the client retention part. They didn't like the
Yeah.
program. And I mean, I have my little sister. I needed help hiring,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there was just so much that I didn't know because I just launched
One person talking to 100 people is a
It's
little,
tough.
yeah, on a
yeah.
consistent basis, and giving them actual coaching it is a little one-on-one coaching is very tough, almost
Yeah.
impossible, I would say.
It felt that way, yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up hiring another mentor, but that wasn't until about April because I was like just trying to like gather myself, right? From February until April. So
Hmm.
after like the 4th month, we actually also got a puppy because I was like, "Okay, I'm leaving teaching. Let's
Oh,
get a
ouch.
dog." It's literally right here on the bed.
Yeah,
Um,
let's get a puppy.
yeah.
Yay. They make everything better.
Add to the chaos.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like that's such a woman thing to do. It's like, oh, so much anxiety, so much pressure, so much life changing. Let me get a puppy. Life's better now. Yay.
oh my god. Yeah,
So
so,
much better.
24-year-old Arden was like, "Yeah, now I have this successful company making 20K months, I'm leaving teaching, let's get a dog," right?
Hmm.
So I kind of regathered myself. I hired one of my clients. I had my little sister that I was paying like 20 bucks a week to do
Hmm.
60 one-on-one check-ins pretty much.
That's like what that's a child labor law right there. Like we
It was like 15 at the
She's fine. They
yeah,
get
it should be
jobs
all
at that
right.
age. It's cool.
She was so happy with 20 bucks a week, dude.
Yeah,
Um,
almost
and then,
$100 a month.
Ooh.
I know, man, I was paying her too much. Um, and then, yeah, so then I hired a client who was one of my first clients back from
Hmm.
October, who actually saw a transformation, who was like, "Arden, I can tell you're struggling. Can I help?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And she was a teacher, obviously. So she
Hmm.
came in and she was like, let's write these SOPs on how to do this, this, and that. And oh my gosh, this girl came in. Her name was Alina. Shout out to Alina. She doesn't even know how to run a business coaching company or a coaching company, and she literally ran my freaking company. I
Love it.
swear. Like she came in there and she was like, let's fit this, and then one of my best friends, and you probably, Brandon, you might know who she is. She was in the same mentorship as us, Kelly Ross, Kelly Nicole Fit
Oh
on
yeah, yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, yeah. I never had a conversation with her, but I remember seeing her in the group.
So she's the one that actually mentioned that mentorship program to me before I joined.
Okay, so you joined that, but yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
joined because of her. And then she was like, "Hey, Arden, you should go work with this other woman mentor who helped me
Mm-hmm.
hire." So like I was like right behind Kelly, right? So
Yeah.
I then invested in this other woman mentor, and she actually helped me build an assistant coach position and hand off clients to Alina, my first AC,
Mm-hmm.
and then helped me hire a virtual assistant to manage all my DMs. I hired an OBM to organize things, and she helped me a lot with the client journey. So that was kind of where things started to kind of fall into place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the reason I became a business coach was because what I notice is a lot of online coaches, whether or not they scale fast, they actually have like a lot of systems that don't work well on the back end, and they don't catch it in time, and they're
Mm-hmm.
constantly putting out fires and constantly feeling like they're fixing things instead of being proactive and making sure that things are just fixed before it breaks and it's running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
that's
so,
what you coach people to do now,
yeah,
basically.
so now I'm really big on like, hey, this is going to happen in probably 3 weeks,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
4 weeks. Let's fix that before it breaks, and then you're like you have to redo everything, and like it's going to take more time and energy.
So you're still essentially teaching, just making more money teaching.
Mhm.
But now you're teaching
Yes.
people who want to be entrepreneurs or coaches how to coach better, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
And are most of them like fitness coaches or?
I would say 90% are fitness coaches just because I was a fitness coach, so they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Girl, teach me."
Mhm.
But I have a couple relationship and life coaches.
Mm-hmm. And is your clients mostly men or women?
It's actually a like 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great community. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's like my brother, my sister."
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, we haven't had any couples yet.
Yet. I like how you said that.
I'm waiting for the first I call it is the program Scale with Ease. I'm waiting for the first Scale with Ease couple.
Mm.
Oh, like a both couple, like a both of them to join at the same time.
No, like both of the people to start dating from.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
people to start
through
dating. Yeah,
like a
yeah,
like a love story through
yeah.
your community. Oh
Hasn't
yeah,
happened.
It's gonna happen.
yeah.
It's
It
bound to
better.
happen.
I'm at
That's
80,
funny.
so before 100 people are in there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm in the group chat. I look at the the free group chat.
Mhm.
There's a free group chat that she does too.
Mhm.
Free group chat community where she'll give you like little tips and try and convince you to work with her essentially.
Mhm. Right.
Does it work?
Show you why you should work with her.
Right.
Give you little jabs, jab 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 right hook, just like
Yeah, so
Gary
you
Vee.
can yeah,
So
you can
give you little tangible things that you can use in your own
Right.
online coaching business. And then if they start working, you're like, oh hey, let me hop on a call with you. And then
Yeah.
hey, let's talk prices. And then you can go into the one-on-one. So if anybody is a coach or is looking to get into any kind of online coaching, I definitely recommend that you at least join the free Instagram group and you can get some value from that. So she's constantly dropping free value gems in that group. And then if you want to take it from there, you can go um, into the working one-on-one, which eventually I think I might do. It might take a little bit of time, but I know I saw with Cleon, but I think maybe by the start of next year, we'll start launching some relationship coaching. And
Both of us.
well, I mean,
You.
I think
Or-
I'll probably run it, and then you probably you'll you'll probably be there too. So
I'll be a guest there.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna have to be. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we both could do it.
Yeah, I'll be like the gentle one, and then you'll be the mean one. We'll figure
Yeah,
it
we'll be
out.
like good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll like
nah,
that a lot.
100%.
Like, are you the ones dating then? Isn't that usually good cop, bad cop, like in a relationship?
Uh, hmm. Well, Brandon's gonna
Well,
be the
we've
one to
we've we've
say.
been in enough failed relationships to know how the good ones work.
Do you?
Yeah, 100%. Because now I would say I might kind of like in a good one now.
I'm kind of
Okay.
liking it.
So
Okay.
and
What?
Cleon's in a good one now too.
Okay. What
And
makes it good? Like, what have you noticed that you
Mm.
feel like makes it good?
what?
Go ahead. She's asking you a question.
She's
Go ahead.
asking you a
she,
question.
she has.
Both.
Mama Deal, I'm certified PIMP. Okay. Mama Deal, I'm certified. Hey,
Oh,
nowadays
shit.
you don't need a certification. My certification is on my failed relationships.
Yeah,
Just look at the past.
we'll look to getting something on a piece of paper. We
Yeah,
got your mama.
I'll get something on a piece of paper. I'm gonna go to the Arden Schiller School of Relationship Coaching and get a certificate after I graduate.
Yeah. So back to her
What
question.
makes it healthy is I have a good baseline of toxic, where toxic relationships you have to constantly. I'm not sure if you ever been in one or experienced this in your current one, maybe in the beginning or whatever. Like you have to constantly tell this person what you're doing, where you're at, and that just became my baseline. And now I'm in one where it's like a lot more chill and relaxed because there's a lot more trust. So that was
Mm,
just that's just one thing off the top of my head.
mm,
I'm so used to having to not be questioned, but I feel the need to explain myself before I'm questioned because I know the questioning is coming, if that makes sense. And that's
Mhm.
where the toxic comes in. And that
mm,
became my baseline for relationships. So when I started in this one, and then a couple months in, it's like, where is it at? Where is it at? Why aren't you asking me what I'm doing, where I'm going? Why aren't you asking me what time I get home from work? Why are you
mm,
not
itching
asking?
for it.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you not asking me all these things? And it's like, okay. So then you start to realize, oh, maybe this is what a healthier relationship looks like. So that's just my answer to your question.
So yours is trust.
Yeah,
Okay.
To
trust
sum it
and
all up.
yeah, trust.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not
Yeah.
like there was trust in the other ones, but I guess it's not really trust if who knows. Relationships can be tricky, so that's why we're all here. I'm sure yours. I know yours was a little tricky at the
Yeah.
beginning. We
Yeah.
didn't even get into that part yet, unless Cleon, you got to answer your question. What was the
Huh.
question again that you asked?
What makes your relationship healthy?
Yeah, Cleon.
What makes my relationship healthy? Well,
Mom's listening.
yeah, mom's listening. Number one, we laugh a lot. And I'm a big fan of that. Trust is a big thing. I think also probably my bad habit, because I try to be very reflective. My bad habit in the past was I ended up in relationships by accident and then didn't really want to be there once I was there.
Mm.
Although this one still kind of happened by accident, I do still want to be here. Yeah, right. It's something that we have a very good communication about it between the both of us. And my big thing, I'm a very simple guy. I just like things that make sense at least most of the time. I understand that in any relationship, you have to have a certain threshold for nonsense, and that's okay. And I get that. But for the most part, most things make sense. We can have a conversation about most things and be on the same page about those things. And I'm a big fan of that. In the past, yeah, man, we've had some, and also during disagreements, the disagreements are cordial and they're respectful.
Mm.
They in the past they have not been. I've been called some names I didn't know you could call people. It's so and then obviously the whole yelling thing, I've never been a fan. I don't really raise my voice. That's not really my thing. So when I'm trying to talk to somebody who's yelling back at me, kind of wears a toll on you. And so none of that happens here. And so I'm happy about that. And also my family likes her. So
It's always
Also
good. That's
important.
always good.
Apparently they loved her, which I just found out last week,
Loved her.
and they met her 5 months ago. So it was
Yeah. You know, my mom, well, there was a very long period of time where my mom had no girls, but then she met the last two I dated, and
Yeah.
then she met the one I'm talking to now.
she's met 3 girls. My parents haven't met a girl since high school.
Well,
This was
that's how it was, and then it was
then they was like, don't bring
right
them back
place, right
around here
time.
until you.
Yeah. There was it was high school, and then it was like till I was 28, so it was like a whole 10 years. They
Yeah.
didn't meet a single soul.
Mhm.
And then they met the last one. Like, oh my god, I love her. I was like, Mom, you met her one time. I love her. I was like, all right, whatever you say. Whatever you say. Whatever
She
you
loved
say.
her, man.
I was like, yeah, she's good people, good vibes, different than the last two she saw. So she's like, yeah, no, way better.
Does she just like all of them?
No, she has some choice words about the one.
About which?
The one 2 years ago that reason I don't drink anymore.
Oh, that one. Well, did she not like her after the thing happened or before?
She was indifferent before, and then obviously
that put the icing on the
obviously.
cake. Tipped her on that side of the fence.
Yeah, and then the last one she liked, but that was just not meant to be because that was just so back to back.
Yeah, you were.
And she served her purpose in the relationship, so that's why that one ended.
Interesting.
So Arden, I know we spoke. This was probably years ago. When you and your now fiance, congratulations, were having a little bit of a rocky time off break. I know that you had moved. You had left Philly, and you thought you were going to go be this digital nomad, which is almost like everybody's dream when they get into online coaching. It's like, let me be this digital nomad and go sail the 7 seas and go across the world and be Miss Independent. And that failed miserably. And then you came back. Okay. So I'm not gonna say it failed miserably, but there was just no Wi-Fi where she was at. Yeah. See, I told you I watch and I pay attention. And I have a great memory.
Hard. Yeah. No, I love that.
So tell us a little bit about what caused the issues of the relationship, why you left, and how you were able to mend it. Because it's really difficult when you end a relationship to give it a second try, because it's always like, what's going to be different this time? If it ended for this reason, what's going to be different this time? So tell us a little bit about your mindset on that and why it worked for you and why it could potentially work for other people. I don't always recommend it, but you clearly figured it out. So why and what happened? Tell us about that.
I love this. I would say the overarching factor is immaturity to maturity.
So how old were you guys at the time? I guess that plays a role too.
So we started dating when Matt's a year and a half younger than me. So Matt was 19 and I was like almost 21 when we first started dating. And we were great. We were best friends throughout college. We were, we had very common going out every weekend, drinking, like very like young things that you would do from the ages of 19 to 25, right? When I was 24, I started my fitness company, and Matt was still in physical therapy school. So he was still living in though it was now he's getting his doctorate, he was still in school, right? So he was doing things with his friends on a Wednesday night. He was going out on the weekends. They were going to Eagles games, and there was nothing wrong with that. Like, of course, like you're 25, 24, 20, 23, right? Do those things. But I was being thrown on very quickly a lot of responsibilities. I was becoming a CEO of a company that I didn't expect to blow up that fast. And so I took that stress and that pressure out on Matt, and I would get angry because he was having this fun life and I had this responsibility at 24, 25
He was out there
years old.
having fun without you.
Yeah. And so I started losing myself. I started losing my friendships, and I started obviously losing my relationship. And so the one struggle that I think that really triggered the breakup was I knew I wanted to move out to San Diego. I had
Mm-hmm.
been planning on it for, I would say, about 2 years. So, or a year and a half. I had gone out there multiple times to come visit my friend Kelly out here, to visit my mentor. Her name was Kendall at the time. And I knew I wanted to be out here. And Matt was graduating from physical therapy school. And I was like, Matt, we need to go to San Diego. And he was like, yeah, 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 let's do it. And the common, I would say, immature relationship pattern between a lot of young people is,
Mm-hmm.
as you are growing and maturing, right? There's like
Mhm.
these paths that you both have. And unfortunately, one of Matt's path was not focused specifically on, I want to go to San Diego, and mine was, I want to go to San Diego. Like, I
Right.
Mm-hmm.
can go there, right? And so he would say yes because he loved me and he wanted to, but his actions weren't aligned with that. So he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
looking up jobs. He wasn't trying to get the job. He wasn't saying, "Hey, let's book a flight and go out there." And then unfortunately, there was like a lot of traumatic events that happened in his family, and it just didn't make sense for him to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew, okay, we've been together for 5.5 years. I don't want to stay in Philadelphia. I knew that. We were in Philly together. I said, I cannot live the life that I might potentially one day wake up at 80 years old and be like, I wish I went to San Diego at 25, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really cool is I'm here now and it's all paid off. I'm here with Matt. Actually, we're
Mm-hmm.
living in San Diego.
Aw.
So you'll see the full circle, and it's like it's so good that I did that. So this obviously caused like a lot of tension on our relationship because I thought that Matt was going to come to San Diego. I really did. But then by the time it was going to happen, he committed to a job in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So we obviously had a lot of fighting around that, a lot of, you know, I was very like, well, you said this, but you don't do that. You're saying things, but you weren't following through. And of course, that's a pattern of a very immature young man who is just graduating from college and doesn't right,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't
Right.
have like that like ability to embody the things that he says he's going to do, right? That comes with developing, I think, a frontal lobe and
Yeah, yeah. It takes time.
becoming it happens at like 27, 28 is what I've
Yeah.
So,
noticed.
yeah,
Take
sometimes
some time,
sometimes
man. Take some
29.
time. You gotta
Yeah,
be patient
sometimes
with us, man.
29,
Be
Sometimes
patient
30.
with us.
35.
35. I don't know.
She said
I hope.
45.
I mean, yes. I mean,
Sometimes never.
some of the guys, yeah, some of the guys we see at the
Honestly.
club. You're right, yeah. But yeah, no. For me, it definitely was like I'm 31 now, so it was definitely like 29,
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
To like actually like, all right, yo, do it,
Yep. And
set
Matt.
it, do it, stop going with the flow so much. But that
Mhm.
also like came based on like how I was raised, and then my
Mhm.
early career of doing insurance,
Yeah.
of quote unquote working so hard and not ever getting a result. So then I'm like, I already worked so hard and it didn't work out. So why would I ever do that again? So then I
Mhm.
had to reprogram my brain again to be like, no, no, no. You work effectively, it'll work out, but you can't just
Right.
wait for things to
Just
happen.
the wrong vehicle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And Matt's 27 now and he's full
yeah,
blown,
it
like
definitely
really like he's leveled up like 7 levels. You know what I mean?
it takes time. It takes time. Definitely takes time.
And that was my issue. I
Mhm,
wasn't willing, and this is the hard part I think about growing with someone for 9 years is I wasn't willing to wait for him to grow up.
Right.
Like I
mhm,
wasn't willing to work through the times that were hard. And this was my fault, right? Like I was like, I don't want to miss out on life. I want to blah blah
mhm,
blah. Right. So I moved out to San Diego thinking I'm gonna be like this bomb girl, which I was. I was pretty bomb. Like I was a bomb CEO running my
yeah.
fitness company. I started business coaching. And things were really good. I loved living in San Diego. It's actually I'm so glad I moved out. And honestly, the whole time Matt and I were talking, like I think there
Mhm,
was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks that we just weren't talking, but almost the whole time we were talking, and we were having conversations that needed to be had that were never had when we were
mhm,
together. And that was, I think, the peak of maturity for both of us of like, okay,
Yeah.
what do we want? How are we going to move forward? And so during that time, I learned a lot about Matt. I learned a lot about myself.
Hmm.
I learned a lot about what I needed to be better at as a girlfriend and fiance now.
What were those things?
Oh, yelling. You said you hate yelling. I'm a yeller. My whole family raised yellers. I
Um,
really don't yell anymore, which is really cool
Yeah,
later.
don't yell at your man.
I know.
One of the main things men really appreciate in a relationship is just feeling respected.
And the
That's
way that I even approach him,
that's one of the biggest things that we need. If we feel respected, we're going to be cool. But if you're yelling at us,
yeah.
we don't feel respected. We just, as long as we feel respected, you are going to have a loving man. If you disrespect him, it is gonna start to create a little bit of animosity, and he's gonna be like, "Nah, I don't know about this so much." So
Yeah, and
respect
I would
is
say
key.
that was huge. There was, like it's not that there was no respect, but there was definitely
How
moments
he
of
could
no.
perceive your
Yeah,
yelling.
there was
Yeah.
moments of no respect. There were times that it was like, "Why didn't you follow through in this?" Right? Like, it was literally like it was
Hmm.
the things that he weren't doing led to me acting this way, vice
So
versa.
you
So
guys
I
created
acted this way.
like the mother child relationship for a little bit.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, and I was very like, "I can save him, I can fix him," and I was very, like, in that,
Hmm.
and he was very
Been
in,
there.
like yeah, right? Like,
I can save him.
so that was really hard, but I had to learn, I know for myself. So,
Hmm.
I had to learn how to express to him better in a more, "Hey, ball's in your court," and
Right.
logical consequence if it
Hmm.
doesn't work out for you, but like it's gonna work out. Like, does that make sense? So
Hmm.
I started expressing a little bit more of like in a I call it in more of a feminine way, right?
Hmm.
In moments that I'm stressed, I still really struggle with not like speaking down to him sometimes, right? So that's something we're still working on.
Yeah.
Um,
Always a work in progress.
yeah,
Always.
and that's like I think the thing that I've learned um with relationships, especially being with someone for a long time, we've done a lot of counseling, like a lot since we got
Hmm.
back together.
together or separately?
Both,
Both. Okay.
Okay. Good.
both. I've learned that there's always going to be 40% this of fights the same type of fight. So if you know the root cause and you can have
Hmm.
compassion for each other, the fight can then be diffused or can be handled better.
Hmm.
And every single time we know it's the same exact thing. It's like I get stressed about like probably like stupid stuff like finances
Hmm.
or whatever, or he's not holding up his end of the stick, right? So then I
Hmm.
feel a lot of pressure to do more and like it
Right.
puts me in my masculine. Those are
Hmm.
usually our little like
How the
patterns.
fights happen. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so when we can catch that and be like, okay, what do we need to do to make
Hmm.
sure that we feel better, it definitely works a lot better. So we
So
catch it.
what made you want to go at it the second time? Was it like counseling? Was it like, hey, we'll go to therapy and learn each other, and then we're gonna give this thing a second go around, and it's like, hey, let's go do it? Or
I
were you already like made up in your mind, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give him another chance because he kept this constant communication with me. He's showing me that he's growing as an individual, or was it like something else? What made you want to be like, oh yeah, second chance right now, let's do it? Because then wasn't you guys were off for a couple years or a year, or how long was it? I
like
don't re-
not even 6 months.
Okay, so it wasn't even that long.
It was like
Okay.
maybe 4 months. Yeah,
Okay.
but we were like kind of like I
Mm-hmm.
was definitely starting to feel a little bit out of it
Mm-hmm.
in towards like the beginning of 2022, but we officially broke up when I moved out to San Diego in June.
Right. And
Okay.
then within like a couple months, and you're like, hey, let's try this again. I can see he's
Mhm.
actually trying. Okay. And then when did the idea of therapy and counseling get introduced?
So, okay. So while we were broken up, I had a relationship coach. I hired my own relationship coach.
Mm-hmm.
And she shared with me a lot of the things that I just shared with you. Hey, Arden, you're too masculine. You need to take a step down.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to fix him. He'll just step up as he gets older and matures.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she shared with me that I could absolutely find a man that is going to be this guy that follows through in what he says he's going to do and has all these traits that Matt doesn't have right now. Um, but then there's going to be other boxes he's not going to check that Matt checks,
Always. Yep.
right? And one thing that I had that like I don't know, I guess I had this like, oh, he needs to check all the boxes. And I think a lot of girls have that mindset of like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to find a man that checks every single box, and they have these very high standards for a man,
Mm-hmm.
right? I learned that that is not ever something that will happen. They
Yeah.
don't all you yeah, sorry you guys. I love you guys. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
guys,
no,
but y'all
we'll
don't
never
check
check
every
somebody's,
but
but
neither
no,
do
no,
we.
yeah,
Like,
Right.
oh, absolutely not,
like
no.
neither
But
do
then there's
we.
a
And
thing
but you
called
guys are
love,
cool with
and
it.
then you compromise. There's a thing called love, and you compromise. So love
And
and
so
respect.
that was something that I needed to learn was, okay, he doesn't check every single box, but even if I find someone else, they're not going to check
Nope.
every single box, right? And so I started weighing the pros and cons of, okay, I can
Mm-hmm.
start a new relationship, or I could be with this guy who is my best friend, who has treated me so well, who,
Mm-hmm.
there was no, it's not like he was hurting me, abusing me, right? Like, it was never a bad relationship in
Yeah.
that way, and he just wanted what was best for me all the time,
Mhm.
and he always supported me. He always believed in me. He was, like, my number 1 cheerleader, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
I think that part is really important in relationships.
yeah, and
Having
so
your
I was, like,
spouse or
leaving
significant
that.
other, yeah, being super supportive, being your number one cheerleader, even if that's right up close next to you or from afar. If you being in San Diego and him in Philadelphia and he's still doing that, like that's a great sign of somebody who really truly cares about you, 100%.
Exactly. And so it was like, he was my best friend since we were little. And like, I had a really good friend who was in San Diego that had been with her boyfriend for 7 or 8 years at that point. So a couple years longer than me and Matt.
Hmm.
And she was like, yeah, you're going to have moments like that, but you decided not to grow together. And I
Hmm.
just remember her saying that. And I was like, I decided not to grow together. And I was like,
Hmm.
but and she was like, "You're gonna have those moments every several years." She was like, we hit it at year 7, and then a therapist had once told me, like, it'll hit year 7, year 15, year 26, year
Hmm.
40, whatever. He like listed off how many years you're gonna both have a growth, and she was like, "You chose not to go through the growing pains with him, and that's okay, but you're gonna have to do it with the next guy."
Right.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
there's always going to be some growing pains. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
"Oh, so I'm like running away from healing together, right?"
Mhm.
Hmm.
And so that's when I was like, "Okay, I'll come back and I'll wait." And I'm glad I did, because yeah, I mean, he grew into the potential that I expected him to,
Right.
right? I just was not willing to wait back then.
And I'll say on the flip side, based on what you just said, he grew into the potential that you knew he could. But ladies out there listening, do not date potential. Do not date potential. I'm just going to say that right now. A lot of us got a lot of potential, but do not date it.
I think
They had a history, a long-standing history, so she knew the kind of individual he was and what he
right.
could be made of. But
Yeah.
let me remind you, do not date potential.
Not without action, right? They
Yeah.
can have a bright future, but if they're not doing anything to get there, that I think that's what they're
Ex-
so smart, but they're not doing anything on a day-to-day basis.
exactly. That'd be like any people or most people you talk, like if someone says, a lot of people say a lot of good things about me when I'm
Do they?
behind.
They say that?
Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
I'm just asking.
No,
Oh,
I
They're like,
talk
yeah,
bad
they're like,
crap about you all the time.
they're like Brandon is a great person. He's very charismatic. He does this, and but if I'm not doing anything
right.
behind closed doors, if I'm not putting any action together behind closed doors, then all those things that people hear, then they're, and I get a girlfriend, she's just going to be dating the potential of what I could be based on
Right.
what people are saying around me. You still got to
Mhm.
see this person put things into action.
Mhm.
Well,
So that's the biggest thing when it comes to the potential thing, which
I agree.
you had that
But I also don't
past with him.
agree. But I also
Hmm.
don't agree
Hmm.
Hmm.
because, and I'm gonna say this, because we grew together. So, like,
Right.
I
Hmm.
think that because of me, I almost pushed him
Oh,
to step into
100%.
that
The
potential.
right woman will do that
And I was about to say, I
with the
think that
right
it was,
man.
yeah,
But
I think it's so, but
don't
don't
stay
date
too long.
someone, yeah,
Right. Yeah, don't
yeah,
stay too long with the wrong man. The
thinking,
right woman,
especially older, like when you're, in your 30s,
thank
people
you.
are, and the nice thing about me and Matt is we're both willing to get the support. We're willing to go to
Hmm.
therapy. We're willing to have
And
the
you have
counseling.
to. Yeah, you have to because you can't do it all on your own. You definitely can't do it all on your
Mm,
own. You need
no,
God, you need therapy, you need it all.
facts.
Like the girl I'm talking to now, like she is such a hard worker that like she pushes me just because she works so hard. It's like
Yeah,
I don't want you to be better than me. I'm competitive. She's super competitive. So I'm just like, you're working more than me. You're working harder than me. I don't like this. So it's like, hold on, hold on. No, no, no. So she's pushing me just by working even
exactly.
more. Like she picked up another job like during the week, and then she is a video game streamer too. So she like started doing all of it. I'm like, nah, nah, nah. I need to go. I'm going harder now. Like, hold on. So
Exactly.
when you get the right people together, yes, that's how you want to be in that kind of relationship dynamic to where you guys are pushing each other to be the best versions of yourself possible. And just from like social media, like that's what I see from you guys, and I think is really cool. Especially how you pivoted from literally I could see like the journey from 5 6 years ago from teaching to fitness coaching to like literally coaching other coaches and being successful at it. So and like show because you share their results of like how they do before they started working with you, and then they started working with you, then they get up to like their $10,000 months. They were at like 4,000, now they're at 10,000. So what you do works, and I think that's because your support system as well. So I think you're doing great. Keep up the good work. It's inspirational to watch from afar as well.
Mhm. Well, thank you.
Any closing thoughts, Mr. Cleon Deal?
Well, I have a question.
Hmm.
Arden, of course, with you being a coach now, former teacher, what did you feel like is the most important thing that you took from being a teacher into your coaching journey?
People skills.
Hmm. And
I
why was
really,
that important?
because I think that a lot of coaches, the number one struggle they have is the ability to not just read the room, but read another
Hmm.
person and
Hmm.
connect with another person. And I believe that an online service business is built through connections
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
relationships.
So, what boundaries do you set on those relationships with your clients? Because
It
you're talking
depends
about
on the person.
connection, huh?
Yeah.
It depends on the person.
So I actually said this to my clients the other day. I said,
Hmm.
if I think there's a client that I need to give a phone call and they can have my number, I'll give it. But if there's a
Hmm.
client that I don't think should have my phone, I won't give it.
Hmm.
And it's not like a you're worse or like is they're different. And I think that
Yeah,
was
and
the
you got to
one
coach
thing.
people differently. No, that's 100%. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that I did as a kindergarten teacher is like differentiated. There would be kids that would come in who could write their name, and there were kids who could come in who didn't even know how to hold a pencil. What do you
Hmm.
do? Right? And so it's the same thing when it comes to teaching people how to grow a business.
Hmm. Like
Yeah,
that.
I like that too. That's
What
all.
other questions?
What other questions do I have? Okay, great.
Do you have
Um,
any other one?
not
I mean,
off of.
I think I asked all the ones that I wanted to.
No, I think we got a good depth on in the art and story. I mean, I have a bunch of questions about the long distance relationship portion of it, because obviously dating somebody who's still in college at the time while you're in California and they're at Penn State, I can imagine obviously there's a lot of things that go into number one, the trust factor, and then kind of those growing pains as you guys are growing together. I got it, but we could go for
But they
another
knew
two
each
hours.
other like years and years before that, so the trust was already like technically there.
Yeah, which is fair, but
And there
obviously,
was never it was never
We
broken.
had to no, we had
She
to
just
rebuild trust.
oh,
It was
did you?
perfect. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, let's talk
we
about it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
that
just
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
assuming.
yeah, yeah.
that was
All
you.
right. So what
So it was
happened?
funny, Cleon, when you said you fell into your relationship, so did me and Matt. We
Mm,
we were like again, kind of like dating for like 2 years, but like we were never um girlfriend and boyfriend.
right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was like
I
2
don't know
years.
what how does this
Hey
happen?
man, I get it. No,
He was
no,
telling
You're
me, I'm like,
young.
no.
No, you're young, you're in college, you have a
hmm
roster, you're like, I don't
But don't you still ask him? And
um
then
we
isn't that
finally
how
sat down. So summer 2017 we sat down and had
after
the
2 years
conversation.
though? After 2 years?
See, Brandon can't fathom this because wants the
No.
girl to be his girlfriend after a week and a half.
But
So
that's
he
good. That's a
can't
good thing.
fathom.
Not
So
after
we
a
know
week.
but like, okay, but we're 30 now,
But when
right?
I
Like,
Right,
well,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
that's
When
so
I
different when you're
know,
19 and 18.
Yeah, that's very
When you
but
different.
still,
just started
I don't know.
college, it's so different.
I guess just because I was raised on rom coms and I seen what not to do
hmm
because of how I grew up. And I didn't meet my dad till I was 20. So I guess I always had like this fairy tale fantasy in my head of what I thought a relationship was going to be. So
Yeah, they
anytime I was like, hey, this is who I want, it's like, no, 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 that's who I want. That's it.
is watching Hallmark where they met at the beginning of the movie and were married by the end of it, and they thought that's how it worked in
And
an hour and a half.
that's how it went, man.
Literally.
But then 5 relationships later, you
Like,
realize
oh, maybe not.
that's not how this thing works.
All right, so tell us this story. So what happened here?
Yeah, so Matt kind of sat me down and I moved him into college one weekend. And
Oh, okay.
and he
Here's the mom son relationship
no,
dynamic.
he asked me. At that point I was definitely not his mom because I was extremely detached.
hmm
So we would hang out. So my college was his hometown. So
Okay.
anytime he came home, so winter break, maybe it was like for New Year's, like for he came home in March one time for spring break, summer, whatever. We would always like connect, right?
hmm
So that's kind of how it was. And then it was finally summer 2017. And he was like, hey, like, you should come. He went to University of Scranton. He was like, you should come to University of Scranton and help me move into my new house. And I was like, okay, sure. So I go at the end of the weekend. He sits down on his ottoman and he looks at me and he said, hey, so like, I think maybe we should like be together.
Mhm.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And he was like exclusive. And I was like, okay. And he was like, but like no titles. And I was like, okay.
Huh?
The
Hold on. Wait. Wait.
right, we're young. We can't judge.
I was
He's
with
young.
you. I was with you.
So I was like, okay.
I'm glad it started like that, and I'm glad it's worked out afterwards. Because that's
When I say it's so funny, we have no dating date because we were so like
Mhm.
whatever. We liked spending time together, and that's why I think it's so genuine. Like we were
Mhm.
just like we consistently we were like connected, right? Like we consistently wanted to spend time with each other. Anytime, he was home, he would be texting me. And it wasn't just about like honestly sleeping together. Like it was like we actually did stuff together. Like we went parasailing. Like I just like we would actually do things, right?
Mhm.
Um so that kind of I guess started our relationship, but there was definitely during those 2 years, I mean, we were sleeping with other people. We were even after he asked me to be exclusive, there were many moments that he was not exclusive to me,
Mm.
right? And so I found out about those. And so I think the one thing that Matt and I, and this is probably why our relationship is so healthy now, is
Mm.
we've already went through, like, if you name it, we've been through it.
Right. Okay.
Any
Yeah.
toxic experience, if you name it. And I think that's actually beautiful because it's built.
Mhm.
We've had to go through so much of learning how to trust each other again, of learning how to respect each
Mhm.
other again, of learning, we've had to rebuild, but it's so strong. Like when I say the trust that I have for him is so strong, the respect that I have for him is so strong. And it would never have been this way if we didn't go through
Yeah,
everything that we
yeah.
went
You got to go through storms. That's the only way you're
How
gonna get
did you
stronger.
how did you find out?
through. The
Women
girls.
always find out. What'd
Yeah.
you say? I'm a girl.
No, I know
You-
the girls that
oh, the girl.
Oh, the
Oh, yeah,
girls told you?
bro. Women will find out anything. So that's why I say like it's just best to just don't do nothing.
I know. We
Be
were
smart.
young.
Be
We
smart,
were
man.
young.
Just don't do nothing. Like women are going to find out what they want to find out because women are queens at doing this. And
And if the woman isn't, her friend is.
exactly.
There's always a crazy friend.
I've
Oh
always
my
had the
God.
crazy friend. I
There's
was
so
never
many,
the
yeah, there's
one.
so many stories of just women detectives that I know of them finding out stuff of with like friends that I've had or girls that I've known through college finding out about like their fiance or their husband being on dating apps or whatever it may be. I'm like, women are going to find out. Like you can't hide anything. I think God has something to do with it. I think he gives them like this that puts the Holy Spirit in them and gives them this intuition to go into detective mode and just find everything out. So you can't ever hide it. You can't ever hide your infidelity. You can't hide that kind of stuff because
No, and on it
women are going to
wasn't
find
even
out.
just that, right? Like I did it to spite him. Like it was like
Mhm.
a constant, like toxic, like push pull relationship.
Yeah.
And so the breakup was needed. The 4 months apart was needed, right?
100%.
It allowed us to kind of refine ourselves and
Mhm.
ask ourselves what we want for our future. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me ask this, and this is give the listeners a little bit of words of wisdom. How do you know, because there's many people that get into toxic relationships, how do you know whether to stay or leave? Because as you just shared, like during that time period, like it sounds pretty toxic. Sounds like something that like maybe if I was your friend, I maybe at the time might have advised you to leave it or advised him to leave it and be like, no, 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 just throw it away, restart. Go
Yeah.
restart somewhere else. How do you know you should try and build instead of leave? Because I'm going to say leave.
The willingness to build from both people and to actually have, okay, this is going to be a business term, but like KPIs, like clocking, like are we growing, like
Mhm.
noticing, like Matt and
Don't
I
just say it, but actually have
actually,
tangible results.
right,
Measure your results.
exactly, like me not yelling anymore, like
Mhm.
the last 10 fights you can think of, I haven't
Mhm.
yelled. That's
Okay, so
clocking
that's the growth of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the growth, right? It's like you, the actual
Mhm.
external, like, you know, is this right? So
I guess I'll accept that answer. No, it does make sense. If you both, you got to be willing,
but you
and
both
then you have to be able to measure what you say you're going to do as well. You can't just be like, oh yeah, we're going to work on this, but then it's like, oh, we're not doing anything. Then you just repeat that
yeah.
toxic cycle, and that's not what we want to do. We want nice, strong, healthy, trusting relationships because in this day and age, it's hard to have those. It's hard to find those.
One
So.
thing Matt and I do every week is we sit down on, we call it Wedding Wednesday since we're planning our wedding.
Mhm.
So every Wednesday we actually go out to dinner and we talk about, hey, what went well this week? What didn't go well? What
Mhm.
are we going to do next week? Those are our 3 questions. We do it every Wednesday.
Yeah, and I think that that's really great if you can plan the week with your significant other as well. I think that that comes with time into a relationship. Obviously, you guys have been together for a very long time, but I think that is something maybe not in a newer relationship that you should do, but after a while, that's something that you should look to do because you do want to be able to grow and build with your partner, and that's what you guys are there for. You want to build up your partner, support them, motivate them, inspire them, and vice versa. So definitely agree with you on that.
Mhm.
Any other final thoughts for you guys?
Final thoughts. Well, real quick, actually, I have one more question before we get to that. Your communication differences. You talked about how you would yell when you got angry at times. How did he communicate with you? Was that a mutual thing from the both of you, or was that completely different, or did you guys have other communication issues as well?
I would yell and he would shut down.
Okay.
He would just take it.
My kind of guy.
It's twin flame.
You just get yelled at. You just, yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, he
Right,
would
and
just
so
take it. So
Mhm.
now
You're right.
it's
And
more
then you,
conversational,
yeah,
obviously, and
yeah.
yeah. And then I would
We
say, like,
don't. Guys
or
don't like being disrespected. That's why it's like we will. Unless you got a hot headed one, he'll yell right back and fight. But
yeah,
otherwise, we feel disrespected. It's just you're right, and we just take it, and we just this isn't for me. I gotta get out of here. In my head, I gotta get out of here. Why is she disrespecting me?
well, Matt
Interesting.
always said he just stuck with me because I'm hot. So
At least that works.
You know, honesty in a relationship is very important.
Honesty is very important. Honesty is very important. Thank God for those in classroom workouts.
right,
That's hilarious.
all those glute days in the classroom.
Yeah, literally. All right. Anything else we got, guys?
No, so I'm good. So number one, so thank you so much for joining us
Yes,
today,
thank
Arden.
you, thank
Appreciate
you.
you being here. Let's clap it up.
You got any other final thoughts or questions for us, Arden? Or any
questions.
words of wisdom you want to leave to the people who are going to be listening?
Yeah, I mean, I think that your business or your online coaching company or whatever you do in life, um, it will always reflect in your relationship, vice versa. Your relationship and the struggles you have in your relationship will reflect in your company. And so being able to clock and recognize all of those patternings that you're seeing is going to be key, because my company is now the most successful it's ever been, while also my relationship is the most
Mm-hmm.
successful it's ever been. And that speaks volumes to who I'm becoming and how I'm growing as a person. And so your partner does matter, and
100%.
they will show you everything you need to know about growing your business.
Mm-hmm. So make sure you pick the right partner. Make sure your relationship is healthy in that you're fighting to keep it healthy. And that's going to help you prosper in your business.
Right. Yeah. And that's because what happens there's going to reflect here and vice versa. I like that a lot because that's actually Brandon with this podcast. Brandon picks topics based on what he's going through in life
Oh,
right
all the
now.
time.
And so,
Easier to talk about.
So that lets me know that as soon as our relationships are extremely successful, this is going to blow up. I'm so excited for
So
that.
excited for you guys. Let's go.
It is, man. Yeah, just go listen to like Rent Free, Skeletons, what was it? 100 Men versus one gorilla. Those are just whatever I'm feeling that day. And I'm a very emotional kind of person. I blame it on my mother, who needs to be on this podcast for this month too.
Get mom here, man.
Maybe next week. Maybe next week. I'll call her.
Yeah. Cool.
But we'll pivot to however I'm feeling. Like, let's talk about this feeling on the podcast, and let's just deep dive into it and how it affects relationships.
Mhm.
And that's what we like to do. So, but other than that, we appreciate your time today, and
Thank you.
thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I would say we'll see you next week, which we technically will see you next week, but we'll also see you tomorrow for our regular time and regular live every Saturday at 7 o'clock. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Recording is